So joining me now, Danon, Israel's ambassador to the UN. He's also the former Israeli Deputy Defense Minister. Ambassador, thank you for joining us and to share your perspective on this. I want to get to what Ambassador Nikki Haley said. She said anytime the international community fails to respond to the moral authority that many people would have in response to this kind of a chemical attack. Do you agree with her?
Good afternoon. Absolutely. The U.S. is a beacon of morality inside the UN. And President Trump sent a clear message by telling the international community we will not tolerate the use and spread of chemical weapons. And the message was sent not only to Damascus, also to Iran, North Korea, but also to the people in the Security Council that chose to sit idly by when we saw those pictures coming from Syria.
I want to ask you about that. You raised the issue about who's operating in that region in Syria. There are a lot of bad characters there that spell a bad, they have a bad taste in their mouth for Israel, if you will. There's Hezbollah, there's also ISIS, there's also Syria's aggression that's going on amongst its own people from Bashar al-Assad. And then you have Russia and Iran, North Korea. You're facing a lot of people in that region. What does it mean for the Israeli people to see this kind of response from the United States in a retaliatory strike and a provocative strike to say no more chemical weapons?
First of all, from a humanitarian point of view, as a Jewish state, seeing kids being gassed in Syria, few miles from the border from Israel, it was very hard for the Israeli people, and I think it was the right decision of the president. And Prime Minister Netanyahu was the first one to thank the President of the U.S. for taking such a strong, bold decision. I think that is leadership, and we appreciate that moral leadership. But you are right. We see that the Iranians, when they see instability, they are very happy. And today they're taking advantage of what's happening today in Syria in order to build their presence in Syria in the future. Exactly like what they're doing today in Lebanon. They have control of Hezbollah, the terrorist organization. They have more than 100,000 rockets in the hands of Hezbollah. We don't want to see the same in Syria. For us, it is a threat. In the future, hopefully, when we will see some kind of understanding, we don't want to see Iranian militias in the border with Israel. And I'm sure the Jordanians are not happy to see Iranians' presence in their border as well.
As a former defense minister who served in Israel, and of course you're familiar with all of the bad characters you do have to face, the United States, what should it be doing now in the future in terms of bringing some stability to that region?
I think the U.S. showed leadership. And we saw other countries following the U.S. That what you take a strong decision, people follow you. And I saw other countries joining the U.S. And I think in the future, the U.S. should say, even if the Security Council will not accept resolutions, we will take action. I think that was a very strong message, and we're seeing other democracies following the U.S. on that.
And this happened on the heels, if you will, look at the timing of it, and I don't think it was planned or pre-planned at all, because Syria took this hostile action. Bashar al-Assad took his own hostile action against launching against his own people. But it happened at a time that the president had just finished wrapping up meetings with the president of Jordan. He met with the president of Egypt, as well as the president of Iraq, as well as the president of Saudi Arabia. There seems to be a consensus within his foreign policy to bring those entities together to form some sort of coalition. Would that coalition be able to help Israel in dealing with the formidable forces that are posed against you?
I think it's very important. I was not in the room in those meetings, but one thing for sure was brought up by all leaders is the issue of Iran. The threat of Iran is not a threat to Israel, it is a threat to the entire Middle East, and those moderate Arab countries are familiar with that threat, and I think when they come together, speak with the American president, that's the first step to move forward to face the bad agreement that was signed with the Iranians.
Mm-hmm. Going back to that bad deal that President Obama had launched, and President Trump has been arguing against that even before he became president. When he was candidate, Donald Trump, he was saying that was a bad deal. It should have never been done. $150 billion given to the Iranians, and now it looks like one of your staunch enemies there is actually trying to build a nuclear armament. So is that something else that the United States should be looking out after? Of course, we know that you certainly are.
Absolutely, it is a bad deal, and I think the sanctions should be enforced, and it's about time to think about new sanctions against Iran. And I think bringing those leaders together, not only Israel, but also the Arab leaders, it is the first step to start to deal with the threat of Iran.
you like the change that you're seeing then?
Absolutely, and we see the change also in the halls of the UN. Ambassador Haley takes a very strong stance, and we're very happy to see that.
Ambassador Danon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.